The night sky over the desert colony was quiet, too quiet. The twin moons hung above like pale eyes watching everything below. A soft wind moved across the sand, whispering secrets. Then from far above something broke the silence. A sound like thunder mixed with a scream. Ethan Ward looked up from his repair drone, eyes wide. A burning light streaked across the sky, growing larger every second. "What in the world?" he muttered. The light became a ball of fire, tearing through the clouds, leaving behind a long trail of smoke. It wasn't a meteor. Ethan could see flashes of metal. It was a ship, a massive one. The ground shook as the object crashed into the far dunes, exploding with a blinding flash. Sand flew up like waves in an angry sea. Ethan threw his arm over his face, the shock wave knocking him to his knees. When the rumble faded, only silence remained again, heavy, waiting. His radio crackled. "Ethan, you seeing that?" said a voice from the colony base. "Yeah," Ethan said, eyes fixed on the smoke rising from the crash site. "Something big came down. I'm going to check it out. Don't be crazy, man. Could be dangerous." "Yeah," Ethan replied, already climbing onto his sand skimmer. "But what if someone's alive?" The skimmer shot forward, engines whining as it glided over the sand. The closer he got, the stranger the air felt, heavy, electric. His sensors flickered, confused by strange energy readings. When he reached the wreck, he slowed down, staring in awe. The ship wasn't human-made. Its shape was smooth and curved, like glass melted into metal. Strange blue symbols glowed faintly along its hull. Pieces of it were still burning with ghostly light. Ethan pulled out his oxygen mask and stepped closer. The entrance was torn open, metal bent like paper. Inside, the air shimmered with heat and smoke. Ethan climbed over the wreckage carefully. The smell was sharp, a mix of burned circuits and something else, something metallic yet sweet. His flashlight flickered over strange corridors filled with glowing vines of light. Then he heard it, a sound. A soft, weak voice. A groan. "Hello?" Ethan called, stepping deeper. The sound came again from behind a half-broken door. He forced it open with a crowbar. Inside was a small chamber like a control room. Everything was destroyed, except one figure lying on the floor. It was a woman. At least she looked mostly like one. Her skin had a soft glow, pale silver under the light. Her hair floated slightly as if touched by static. Strange armor covered her body, cracked and blackened from the crash. She was bleeding, but her blood wasn't red. It shone faintly blue, glowing softly where it touched the metal floor. Ethan froze, breath catching. Oh my God. The woman's eyes opened suddenly. They were bright. Not human bright, but like stars caught in crystal. She tried to speak, her lips trembling. "Huh, man." Ethan stepped forward, kneeling beside her. "It's okay. Don't move. I'm here to help you," she winced in pain. "Help, or we both die," she whispered, her voice echoing strangely. He looked at his scanner. Her pulse was almost gone, body temperature falling fast. Whatever she was, she didn't have long. Ethan pulled out his medkit, scanning for any sign of what could help. The readings were nonsense. Her blood chemistry was completely unknown, but the warning flashed red across his visor. Critical condition, immediate transfusion required. Ethan frowned. "You need blood?" He looked at his own arm. Human blood? His scanner beeped. Potential partial compatibility 7.6%. Unknown reaction risk. He looked at her again, her glowing eyes half closed now. "If I don't try, she dies," he whispered. His hand shook as he pulled out the injector tube. He hesitated only a second, then pressed it into his arm. Red blood filled the tube, then he connected it to her vein. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her body arched. Light spread under her skin like fire under glass. The medkit screamed with warnings. Genetic conflict detected. Ethan tried to pull the tube free, but she gripped his wrist with surprising strength. "No," she said weakly. "Let it happen." He felt something rush through him, like electricity, like fire. His vision blurred. For a second, he saw things that weren't there. Cities of light, alien skies, towers reaching the stars. He gasped and fell back, clutching his head. When he looked again, the alien woman was breathing steadily. Her wounds were closing, glowing softly. But something else was wrong. His veins were glowing faint blue, just like hers. "What the hell?" he whispered. The ground suddenly shook again. A deep rumble echoed from the horizon. His scanner flashed. Energy spike. Core explosion imminent. The wreck was about to blow. Ethan scooped the woman into his arms. She was surprisingly light, her skin cool like stone. Her eyes fluttered open. "Run," she whispered. He didn't need to be told twice. He ran through the broken halls as fire spread behind him. The metal screamed as the ship's heart exploded. He leapt out through the torn opening just as the wreck went up in a massive burst of blue light. Sand and flame filled the sky. Ethan rolled down the dunes, the alien still in his arms. He stopped at the bottom, coughing, the wreck burning behind him. The alien princess looked at him weakly. "You gave your blood?" she said softly. "Now we are one." Ethan's veins glowed brighter in the dark. His heart pounded strangely, echoing two rhythms, one human, one alien. He looked back at the burning wreck, still shaking. "What did I just do?" he whispered, and far above, unseen in the night sky, something else was watching. The desert was quiet again, but Ethan could not feel peace. The blue glow running through his veins refused to fade. It pulsed slowly like a heartbeat that wasn't his. The alien woman, the one who had called herself princess, lay beside him on the sand, breathing softly. He watched her chest rise and fall, her wounds already closed. The blue marks on her skin shimmered faintly under the twin moons. She looked peaceful now, almost human. But inside Ethan, everything was wrong. His head throbbed. His heart beat too fast. He could feel something moving inside him, something not human. When the first light of morning touched the desert, she opened her eyes. They glowed silver blue like liquid stars. She looked straight into his eyes, and for a second he couldn't breathe. Where am I?" she whispered weakly. "You crashed," Ethan said softly. "I found your ship. It's gone now." Her face tightened in pain. "Gone? The Virulon Dawn is destroyed?" "I'm sorry," Ethan said. There was nothing left to save. She turned her gaze to the sky. Her lips trembled, but no tears came. "Then, my people are gone too." Ethan didn't know what to say. He just sat there beside her, the sand warm beneath them. After a long silence, she looked back at him. "You gave me your blood." Ethan hesitated. "Yeah, my scanner said you'd die without a transfusion." Her eyes widened slightly. "Do you know what that means, human?" He shook his head. "Only that it worked." She looked down at her hands, turning them slowly. "Your blood merged with mine. That should be impossible." "Well," Ethan muttered, trying to laugh. "I've been told I'm one of a kind," but she didn't smile. Instead, she reached out and touched his wrist. Her skin was cool, but the moment she made contact, Ethan felt a wave of warmth rush through him, like touching sunlight. And then, he heard her voice. But she didn't speak. "Ethan, can you hear me?" He jumped, looking around. "Did you just—" She nodded slowly. "Yes, the bond is forming." "What bond?" he asked, backing up a little. "The blood bond," she said quietly. "You gave part of your life to me. Now our bodies, our minds, are linked. What happens to one will happen to the other." Ethan blinked. Wait, you mean if you die?" "I die, you die," she said softly. "And if you suffer, I will feel it too." He sat down again, trying to breathe. That's insane." She looked at him with strange sadness. "It's ancient magic written in our blood. My kind call it the thread of life. It is not meant to be shared between species." "Well," he sighed, rubbing his temples. "Too late now." She tilted her head slightly. "You are not afraid?" "Oh, I'm terrified," Ethan said, half laughing. "But fear won't help, right?" For the first time, a small smile appeared on her face, soft, faint, but real. "You are strange, human." "Ethan," he said. "My name is Ethan Ward." She looked at him thoughtfully. "Ethan," she said slowly, testing the sound. "I am Lyra of the House of Virulon." Ethan nodded. "Princess Lyra, then." "Just Lyra," she said quietly. A long silence followed. Ethan tried to stand, but his legs felt weak. His head buzzed again, and suddenly flashes filled his mind. Images of tall silver towers, glowing seas, and skies filled with two suns. He gasped and fell to his knees. Lyra reached him at once. "You are seeing my memories," she said urgently. "The bond is growing stronger. I saw your world," Ethan said, voice trembling. "It's beautiful." She looked away, her expression darkening. It was. Before the war. He wanted to ask more, but a loud sound cut through the wind, a sharp humming noise from far away. Lyra's eyes went wide with fear. "They found us." "Who?" Ethan asked, scanning the horizon. She grabbed his arm, pulling him behind a rock. Hunters. They are tracking my royal blood signature. Ethan peeked over the dune. In the distance, dark shapes moved. Small ships gliding over the sand, glowing red lights scanning the area. Your people? Ethan whispered. Lyra shook her head. No, traitors, they want my blood. And now yours. Ethan swallowed hard. Great, so we're both targets now. She closed her eyes, focusing. The marks on her hands began to glow brighter. I have little energy left, she said. But maybe I can hide us. She placed her glowing hands on the sand, whispering words he didn't understand. The air around them shimmered, like heat waves bending light. The red scanning beams passed over, but the ships didn't stop. They moved on. Ethan exhaled. That was close. Lyra leaned weakly against the rock, her glow fading. The shield won't last long, he nodded. Then we move. I have a hoverbike nearby. We can reach the colony before nightfall. Lyra looked at him uncertain. Your people will not accept me. Then we don't tell them, Ethan said firmly. We just keep you alive. She studied his face as if searching for something. Then she nodded. Very well, Ethan Ward. Our lives are one now. Let us see where this bond leads. As they rose and hurried through the golden dunes, the wind whispered softly around them. But unseen far above, a dark ship followed their trail. Silent and patient, the hunters had already marked their prey. The desert sun burned bright above the endless dunes, turning the world gold and silent. Ethan's hoverbike hummed softly as it sped across the sand. Behind him, Lyra sat weakly, her silver hair fluttering in the hot wind. Every few minutes, Ethan glanced back to make sure she was still awake. You doing okay back there? He shouted over the engine noise. I am holding, Lyra answered softly. Her voice carried a calm that didn't match her pale face. But your blood, it changes me. I can feel your heartbeat in my veins. Ethan gripped the handles tighter. Yeah, about that. I can feel you too. Like you're inside my head. Lyra closed her eyes. That is the connection. The blood bond, it is stronger now. Suddenly his vision flickered. The desert around him blurred into something else. Tall glass towers under twin suns, flying ships in the sky, and people with glowing eyes walking streets of light. He gasped, almost losing control of the bike. Ethan! Lyra grabbed his arm, snapping him back to the present. He stopped the bike, panting. I just saw your world. She looked at him with wide eyes. Then the merge has begun. The what? The merging of memory and spirit, she explained. When two life forms share blood, their essence tries to balance. You will see what I see, feel what I feel. Ethan looked down at his hands. His veins pulsed faintly blue. And if it keeps getting stronger? Then your body will not stay human for long. A silence hung between them. The wind carried fine dust that glittered in the light. Ethan looked at her, the strange, wounded princess from the stars, and realized how fragile she looked, yet how powerful her presence felt. Before he could speak, his communicator beeped. A robotic voice said, Unidentified craft approaching from the south. Lyra's eyes narrowed. The hunters. He turned and saw 3 small ships gliding low across the dunes, leaving thin trails of smoke. They're fast, Ethan said. We can't outrun them for long. Lyra reached forward, touching his shoulder. We can try something else. What do you mean? Focus, she said. You carry part of my energy now. I can guide you to use it, he frowned. Use it how? Close your eyes. He hesitated, then obeyed. The wind roared around them. He felt her hand on his chest, just above his heart. Now, she whispered, feel the flow of your blood. Feel it hum with mine. He took a deep breath. At first there was nothing, just his racing pulse. Then warmth spread through his chest, then down his arms. His fingertips tingled. Now imagine it moving outside of you, Lyra said. Energy follows thought. Ethan opened his eyes just as one of the hunter ships fired a plasma shot. Instinctively he raised his hand, and a glowing blue barrier of light appeared in front of them. The plasma bolt struck it and exploded harmlessly. He stared, speechless. Did I just do that? Lyra smiled faintly. Our bond gives you my psionic power, but your human body cannot hold it for long. Use it only when needed. Ethan nodded, still in awe. Guess I just became something new. The hunters regrouped in the air. Lyra placed a small metal sphere on the sand. It unfolded like a flower, glowing bright. It will hide our energy trail for a time, she said. But they will not stop. The blood in you, they can sense it. Ethan exhaled. Then we find somewhere safe. Lyra looked toward the horizon. There's an old human outpost 10 miles west. We can rest there. As they rode again, Ethan felt her thoughts inside his mind. Quiet, sorrowful images. A palace of white stone, a tall man in silver armor smiling down at her. Then fire, screams, betrayal. He swallowed hard. That man, he was your father, wasn't he? Lyra's eyes widened. You saw him? I didn't mean to, he said. It just appeared in my head. She looked away, voice soft. My father was king of our world. He believed peace with other races was possible. But someone close to him betrayed us. They took control of our fleet and started a war. My ship was carrying the royal core, a weapon of terrible power. That's why they shot me down, Ethan frowned. And now that blood's in me. Yes, she said. The hunters will chase us until they claim it. They reached the ruins of the old outpost just as the sun dipped low. Broken towers stood half buried in sand. Ethan parked the hoverbike in the shadow of a collapsed dome. Lyra sat down slowly, exhaustion in her eyes. The bond is growing too fast, she murmured. If we do not find balance, one of us will burn out. Ethan crouched beside her. Then tell me what I can do. She looked into his eyes, her voice soft but firm. Trust the bond. Trust me. For a moment, neither spoke. Only the wind filled the silence. Then, faintly in the distance, the hum of enemy engines returned, echoing through the dunes like a warning. Lyra opened her eyes again, glowing brighter than before. They are near. Ethan stood, clenching his fists. Then they'll have to go through me first. The wind howled harder, carrying sand like sparks. Two hearts beat as one human, one alien, as the night came down over the desert. Night fell across the desert like a heavy blanket. The wind had quieted, but danger still hummed in the air. In the distance, faint red lights moved slowly. The alien hunters were searching, scanning the dunes for any trace of them. Ethan and Lyra hid inside the ruins of the old outpost, surrounded by cracked walls and half-buried metal. The faint blue glow of their bond lit the dark chamber where they sat. Ethan peered out through a broken window slit. They're closer now, he whispered. 3 ships, maybe 4. We can't stay here. Lyra sat cross-legged on the floor, her eyes half closed. Her skin shimmered faintly, her breathing uneven. My strength is low, she said softly. Your blood keeps me alive, but it also burns me. Ethan turned to her, worry in his eyes. What do you mean, burns you? The human life force inside me, it is wild, she explained. It fights against my royal energy. 2 worlds inside one body. Ethan rubbed his temples. Yeah, I know the feeling. He looked down at his hands. His veins glowed brighter than before, tracing blue lines up his arms like lightning under skin. Sometimes I can feel your heartbeat in my head. Lyra opened her eyes and looked at him seriously. It will get stronger. We must find the royal core crystal from my ship. It can balance the bond before it destroys us both. Ethan frowned. The ship's wreck is miles away and crawling with hunters. I know, she said quietly. But without that crystal, we die. Outside, a low mechanical roar echoed. Searchlights began to sweep across the dunes. Ethan grabbed his pack and motioned for Lyra to follow. Then we go now. Before they find us, Lyra struggled to stand. Her legs trembled, but Ethan caught her. Their skin touched, and suddenly his vision flashed. A short burst of her thoughts. A childhood memory. A bright garden of blue flowers, laughter. A woman's voice singing softly. Ethan blinked. Was that you? She nodded faintly. The bond shares fragments. Memories, emotions. Be careful, Ethan warned. Our minds are no longer separate. He helped her outside, and they moved through the shadows, crouched low. The sky shimmered with stars, and in the far distance the wreck of Lyra's ship glowed faintly, a broken silver mountain against the sand. The journey was silent except for the soft hum of the hoverbike. Ethan guided it without lights, using only the faint pull in his mind. The bond itself seemed to show him the path. Halfway there, the wind picked up again. Dust swirled around them. The sound of engines grew louder. The hunters had spotted something. Hold on, Ethan shouted. He pushed the throttle. The bike shot forward, slicing through the darkness. Plasma bolts tore through the air behind them, exploding in the sand. Lyra gripped his shoulder. Left, go left. He turned sharply, the bike sliding across a dune, almost tipping. One of the hunter ships dived low, its spotlight locking on them. Ethan's instincts flared, and suddenly the world slowed. He felt energy move through his arms down to his hands. Blue light burst from his fingertips, forming a glowing wall in the air. The plasma beam struck it, scattering into sparks. He gasped. I did it again. Lyra's voice filled his mind. You are learning fast, but don't lose control. Another explosion followed, throwing them off balance. The bike spun out and crashed into the sand. Ethan rolled, coughing, then saw Lyra lying a few feet away. He rushed to her side. Are you hurt? She shook her head weakly. No, but the hunters are closing in. Ethan looked up. 3 dark shapes descended, their engines howling. They were surrounded. Stay behind me, he said. He felt his heartbeat merge with hers again. Faster, stronger, almost painful. Blue light shimmered under his skin, brighter than ever. The first hunter fired. Ethan raised his hand. This time the shield wasn't small. It expanded in all directions, a dome of blue light that rippled like water. The plasma bolts hit and dissolved. Lyra's eyes widened. Ethan, you're controlling psionics. Guess I'm a fast learner, he said with a shaky grin. But his nose began to bleed and pain ripped through his chest. His body wasn't built for this power. Lyra touched his arm and a surge of calm passed through him. Her energy flowed into his, stabilizing it. Together their lights blended in blue and silver, bright enough to blind the hunters. When the light faded, the hunters' ships were down, crashed into the sand. The silence returned, heavy and unreal. Ethan fell to his knees, exhausted. Lyra caught him before he hit the ground. You saved us, she whispered. He smiled weakly. Guess we're even now. But as he looked up at her, something changed. Her skin's glow dimmed and her eyes flickered. What's wrong? He asked quickly. She placed a hand over her heart. The bond is shifting. You use too much energy. Our connection is unstable. Ethan gritted his teeth. Then let's fix it. We get that crystal and we fix this. Lyra looked toward the wreck of her ship, its faint blue light shining far away like a dying star. Yes, she said softly. But the one who betrayed me guards it. If he finds us first, everything ends. The desert wind howled once more, carrying the echo of distant engines. The hunt wasn't over. Ethan stood beside her, the glow of their blood shining faintly in the dark. Then we don't let him find us first, he said. Lyra looked up at him, the human who had given her his blood, his life, and now his destiny. Then together, she whispered, we fight. Above them, the stars burned brighter as if watching. Somewhere beyond those stars, fate had already begun to change. The night had passed, but dawn brought no peace. A pale sun rose over the dunes, its light soft and cold. The air shimmered with heat and dust. Ethan stood at the top of a sand ridge, staring toward the horizon where the wreck of Lyra's ship lay half buried. It looked like a dead giant, twisted metal bones jutting out of the desert, glowing faintly blue from within. Smoke still rose from deep inside it even after all these days. Lyra stood beside him, her silver hair drifting in the morning wind. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of memories. That was my home once, she said quietly. Now it's only a tomb. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. You said the royal core crystal is still inside. That's our way out, right? She nodded. It will balance our bond and restore my strength, but it will also wake something I tried to forget. Ethan raised an eyebrow. The one who betrayed you. Her lips tightened. Yes, Commander Kale. She said the name like a wound reopening. He served my father. He was like family, until he turned against us. Ethan looked back at the wreck. Then let's finish what he started. They descended into the dunes, the hover bike humming softly beneath them. The closer they got, the stronger the air pulsed with strange energy. Ethan's veins began to glow brighter, reacting to the wreck's presence. Lyra's eyes widened. The ship knows you now, she said. My blood inside you, it's calling to it. Good, Ethan said, forcing a grin. Maybe it'll open the door. But when they reached the shattered hull, the ground trembled beneath their feet. Blue fire flickered between the cracks. Ethan stepped inside carefully, the metal floor creaking. The ship seemed half alive. Cables moved like veins and faint whispers echoed through the walls. Lyra followed closely, her fingers brushing against the smooth metal. The ship's core is under the main chamber, she said. We must reach it before Kale does. Ethan glanced at her. If he's even alive. Lyra gave a faint, sad smile. He's alive. The betrayal always survives longer than the betrayed. They moved deeper inside, guided by the pulsing light that grew stronger the farther they went. Ethan's head buzzed. The bond between them was vibrating with strange force. He could hear her heartbeat in his mind, and then suddenly another voice echoed inside his head. A deep, cold voice. "You should not have come back, Princess." Lyra froze. "He's here." A tall figure stepped out from the shadows ahead. His armor was dark silver, scarred and burned, his eyes glowing red. He looked at Ethan first. "A human?" he said with disgust. "You polluted the royal bloodline with a primitive species." Ethan clenched his fists. "Nice to meet you too." Kyle smiled darkly. "You think you saved her, human? You doomed her. The bond you created will destroy you both. But perhaps your death will speed the process." Ethan stepped forward, his veins blazing bright blue. "Try me." Cal raised his hand, energy flared, and the wall shook. Ethan jumped aside as a blast of plasma tore through the metal. He landed hard, sand and smoke filling the air. Lyra shouted, "Ethan, the core! We need it now!" He looked toward the chamber ahead, a huge sphere pulsing with red and blue light suspended above the ground. The royal core crystal? It radiated power that made his skin crawl. Kale turned toward it, his armor glowing. "That belongs to the throne, not a dying princess and her pet human." Ethan charged forward. The air exploded with blue light as his psionic energy erupted. Metal fragments lifted off the ground, spinning around him. He threw his hand forward. A wave of force smashed into Kale, sending him crashing into a wall. Kale roared and returned fire, energy bolts lighting the chamber. Ethan blocked one with his shield, but the impact threw him back. Pain ripped through his chest. He could feel his body failing under the strain. Lyra ran toward the core. Her voice echoed inside his head. "Hold him off a little longer." Ethan gritted his teeth, blood dripping from his nose. "No problem." "Easy for you to say." Kale rose again, furious. "You cannot fight the blood of a god," he shouted. Ethan's eyes glowed brighter. "Maybe not, but I can fight for one." He leapt forward, channeling everything he had. The light from his hands flared like a storm. Kale raised his arm to block, but Ethan slammed into him with full force. The chamber filled with blinding light. When the glow faded, Ethan was on the floor, barely breathing. Kale lay unconscious against the wall, his armor cracked. Lyra stood near the core, her hands glowing silver. "I have it," she whispered. "The crystal is awake." Ethan smiled weakly. "Then let's get out before he wakes up." But as he tried to stand, he realized something. Lyra wasn't moving. The light around her was getting brighter and brighter. "Lyra?" he said, stepping closer. She turned to him slowly. Her voice echoed like two voices overlapping. "The crystal. It is too powerful. It's merging with me." Ethan shook his head. "No, stop. You'll burn yourself out." Her eyes met his, soft and sad. "If I stop, the bond will kill you. Let me do this, Ethan." He reached for her hand, but the light was too strong to touch. "Lyra, don't—" A flash of blinding light filled the chamber. The ship shook, the walls screaming, and when the light faded again, Lyra was gone. Only the crystal remained, glowing softly in the silence. Ethan dropped to his knees, the blue light in his veins flickering weakly. "Lyra," he whispered. "Where are you?" But only the wind answered, carrying the echo of her last words through the burning wreck. Smoke filled the broken chamber, rising from the cracked walls of the alien ship. Sparks fell like blue rain, and the air smelled of burned metal and ozone. Ethan lay on the floor, barely breathing. His skin was pale, his veins glowing faintly, flickering between blue and silver light. "Lyra," he whispered into the silence. His voice echoed off the ruined walls. There was no answer, only the low hum of the royal core crystal floating in the air, spinning slowly, glowing with strange energy. He pushed himself up, pain tearing through his chest. Every muscle in his body screamed. The blue light under his skin was spreading. He looked down at his arm. His veins were no longer red or blue, but a strange mix of both, glowing softly like liquid fire. "Lyra, where are you?" he called again, his voice breaking. A faint sound echoed inside his head, a whisper. "Ethan," he froze. "Lyra," the voice came again, clearer this time. "Ethan, listen. I am part of the core now." He stared at the floating crystal, realization dawning. No, you can't be." The bond was unstable," she said softly. "The crystal merged with my energy to save you. My body is gone, but my essence, it lives in you now." He staggered back, shaking his head. "You gave up everything for me?" "For us," her voice said gently. Our bond was never meant to end in death. It was meant to create something new. Before Ethan could reply, the ground trembled. From the shadows, Kale's voice growled. Something new indeed. Ethan turned. The alien commander was alive, though barely. His armor was cracked, his face burned, but his eyes burned with hate. You merged with the Royal Corps, Kale hissed. You carry the blood of Virulon inside you, human. That power belongs to the throne, not a creature of dirt. Ethan clenched his fists. That power belonged to Lyra, and she trusted me with it. Kale's eyes flared red. Then I will take it from your corpse. He raised his arm, and dark energy flared out like lightning. Ethan dodged, the beam slicing through metal beside him. He felt Lyra's presence in his mind, calm and strong. Ethan, trust me. The power's inside you now. Let it flow. He took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and felt the hum beneath his skin, a heartbeat not his own. His pulse merged with the rhythm of the core. When he opened his eyes again, they glowed bright silver. Kale fired another blast, but this time Ethan didn't dodge. He raised his hand and the energy shattered against an invisible field. The air rippled like water. Kale stepped back, eyes wide. Impossible. Ethan moved forward slowly. The sand beneath his boots began to rise, floating around him. No, he said quietly. Just evolution. With a shout, Kale charged. Their powers collided, blue and red energy twisting together, filling the chamber with blinding light. Ethan felt Lyra guiding him, their minds working as one. He moved faster than thought, striking with energy bursts that sent Kyle crashing into the walls again and again. Finally, Ethan raised both hands and a wave of blue-silver light burst from his body, throwing Kale across the room. The alien commander fell to his knees, gasping, his armor smoking. This isn't the end, Kale growled. You can't hold that power. It will consume you, human. It will turn you into a monster. Ethan's voice was calm. Maybe, but at least I'll be a monster who chose to protect, not destroy. Kale lunged one last time, but Ethan caught him mid-air, suspended by psionic energy. The glow around Ethan intensified. For Lyra, he said softly. Then, with a pulse of light, Kale vanished, turned to dust that drifted away in the rising wind. Silence filled the wreck once more. Ethan stood there, trembling. The glow slowly dimmed until only his eyes still shone faintly. Ethan. Lyra's voice whispered in his mind again. It's over. He fell to his knees. No, it's not. You're still gone. Not gone, she said gently. Changed. I exist in the connection now. In you. He closed his eyes. He could feel her heartbeat inside his chest, slow and steady, 2 lives sharing one rhythm. I don't know what happens next, he whispered. Then we find out together, she said. Ethan stood, looking at the core. The light around it began to fade, and the ship's metal walls started to collapse. He ran, for the exit, jumping through a broken hatch just as the wreck imploded behind him, swallowed by the desert. The sun was rising again, painting the sand gold. Ethan stood there, breathing hard. His shadow stretched long behind him, and for a moment, 2 shadows appeared instead of 1. He smiled faintly. Guess you're still here, he said softly. Always, Lyra's voice whispered. He looked up at the sky. Far above, small alien ships moved like black dots against the sun. The war wasn't over yet, and now he carried the power of 2 worlds in his blood. Ethan clenched his glowing hand. Then let's finish this, he said. The wind rose again, swirling sand around him as he walked toward the horizon, half human, half alien, something entirely new. The desert was silent once more. The broken ship of Lyra's people was gone, swallowed by sand and time. Only Ethan remained, standing in the golden dawn, his veins glowing softly beneath his skin like threads of living light. He felt her inside him, not as a ghost, not as a memory, but as a living heartbeat that pulsed in rhythm with his own. Ethan? Lyra's voice echoed gently in his mind, soft like wind across the dunes. I can still hear you, he whispered. We are bound by the blood of 2 worlds. You can never lose me now. He smiled faintly. I'll hold you to that. Far, above, the morning sky burned red. A fleet of alien warships moved across the clouds. They were huge black silhouettes against the rising sun. Ethan's scanner beeped rapidly. Incoming ships. Virulent Empire. Hostile signature detected. They found us, he muttered. No, Lyra said. They found me. The largest ship descended slowly, its engines rumbling like thunder. From its hull came a booming voice through the air. This is the Virulent Empire. By order of the High Council, surrender the traitor's essence or be destroyed. Ethan clenched his fists. They're talking about you. No, Lyra corrected softly. They are talking about us. The wind picked up, swirling dust around him. Energy crackled in the air. The glow in Ethan's body grew brighter, silver and blue twisting together like fire and water. He could feel Lyra's power fully now, no longer unstable, no longer separate. It was one. He closed his eyes. All right, Lyra. One last fight. Together, she said. The air exploded with light as Ethan lifted into the sky, surrounded by a glowing aura. The alien fleet opened fire, plasma bolts streaking through the air. Ethan moved faster than thought, his body trailing streams of light. He raised his hands and energy shields formed, blocking the blasts. The desert below erupted in waves of sand and flame. He struck back, his power forming into spears of light that tore through the ship's armor. The sky became a storm of silver and blue fire. Each movement echoed with Lyra's voice, guiding him, strengthening him. Ethan, focus on the command ship. He saw it, a massive vessel with a glowing red core. Got it, he shouted. He soared upward, breaking through the clouds. The red core pulsed like a living heart. It controls the fleet. Destroy it and the others will fall. Ethan's hands glowed brighter, the air trembling with power. But then a voice came from the ship, deep, commanding, cold. Human, you carry what does not belong to you. The royal essence is forbidden to merge with mortal blood. Ethan floated above the ship, his eyes burning silver. Then maybe it's time your rules changed. The ship fired a beam of crimson energy, cutting through the clouds. Ethan met it head on. The blast struck him, and instead of breaking, he absorbed it. The light around him turned blinding white. Lyra's voice filled his mind. Now, Ethan, release it. He spread his arms, and the sky exploded. Blue and silver light surged outward, engulfing the fleet. One by one, the ships fell, not in fire, but in silence, their engines fading as if put to sleep. The sky cleared. Only Ethan remained, hovering in the calm light of dawn. Slowly, he descended back to the desert. His boots touched the sand softly. The glow around him faded, but his eyes still shone faintly. He looked around. The wrecks of the ships lay quiet, harmless now. No smoke, no fire. Just stillness. Lyra, he whispered. I'm here, she answered gently. We did it. Yes, the war ends today, Ethan Ward. Not with more blood, but with unity. He smiled softly. The blood of two worlds. She paused. Our bond is stable now, but it will change you. You are no longer only human. I figured that out, he said with a laugh. Guess I'll have to get used to glowing. And your world will have to get used to you, she teased lightly. He looked up at the twin suns rising. Then maybe it's time both our worlds stop being afraid. A soft wind blew across the dunes. Ethan could feel it, not just with his skin, but with something deeper. The air, the sand, the energy of life. He could sense it all. Lyra's voice grew softer. You have become the bridge, Ethan. My people will feel your signal. They will know peace is possible. He nodded. And Earth will learn we're not alone. The royal core crystal now fused inside him pulsed once. A beam of light shot into the sky, splitting into thousands of streams. A silent message spreading across the stars. Every planet it touched would hear the same signal. The blood union has begun. Ethan stood quietly, watching the beam fade. So this is it, he said softly. This is the beginning, Lyra whispered, not an ending. He smiled. You know, I thought giving my blood was the worst mistake of my life. And now? Now, he said, looking toward the horizon. It feels like the best thing I ever did. The desert wind rose again, warm and golden. Ethan walked forward, leaving glowing footprints in the sand. Above him the stars shimmered brighter than before, as if watching, as if remembering. And somewhere in that endless sky, two heartbeats, one human, one alien, beat together as one.